Welcome to 21st Century Learning, exploring the intersection of education and technology. This is episode number 3.03, and you're listening to the EdTech Talk channel of the World Bridges Network. Today is November 6th, 2014. I'm Alex Ragone.
And I'm Vinny Brotny.
Hi, folks.
And our friend Arvind is on assignment today.
On assignment. We sent him to the East Village on assignment.
Into meeting land.
It happens, right?
Yeah, it happened to me last time, so.
Yeah. I think that we all, that's the good part about having three hosts. So.
Absolutely.
So how are you, Vinny?
I'm doing really, really well. How are you?
All right. I'm enjoying seeing people walk by your window.
It's an egress point for our upper schoolers to go between the cafeteria and the building, so.
It's pretty fantastic how warm it is there and how cool it is here.
Well,
it's not that cool.
I think my blood is thinning. I look out the window, and we've had a couple days of the cloudy and rain.
Yep.
And I'm expecting to go out and feel the raw dampness, right? And it's still 50, 60 degrees. So, my body is just way off. And that yesterday there were a group of upper schoolers coming out of the cafeteria, and it was raining all day, and they were noting that it feels so cold here. And I just started laughing inside and saying, "Oh, you don't know cold."
You don't know cold. Come to Chicago.
Yeah, especially from what I was seeing from the weather on Friday night, Halloween. It was pretty nasty. Was
it brutal? Oh my gosh. It was actually really nice here on Halloween. It was like in the mid to upper 50s, early low 60s. So it was a nice. We didn't enjoy
in Chicago. The lakeside lanes of Lakeshore Drive were closed because the waves were coming up. The wind was gusting 55 to 60 miles. 600 and some odd flights were canceled out of O'Hare.
That's what hit New York over the weekend.
Correct. It was
on marathon day. Slowed people down. I heard a number of stories about how they were just running into the wind the whole 26 miles.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I'd love to have seen Nick Wallenda try to do his crossing on Friday night as opposed to Sunday.
Yep. All right. So we were chatting before the show. We were talking about kind of adjustments and also fitting and making sure that your job is reasonable, is kind of a reasonable amount of work, and that you've kind of managed and talking about your transition from over the last few years. You've gone through that, and me just trying to figure out how to kind of manage a division and parents and all of those other things. And you mentioned a book you had been or starting to crack.
Yeah, so actually I've gotten quite a bit through, and this actually came in through a recommendation a couple Sundays ago that I had gotten from Bo Adams down at Mount Vernon Presbyterian. And so the name of the book is Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. And I'm just going to put the post on into our chat area. So this was a New York Times bestseller, and one of the things that I'm sure that you're not affected by, Alex, but I know that I am, is the ability to say the word
no.
It's really, really hard to say.
I never have that problem.
And so as a result of that, this book's kind of interesting in that it really begins to focus and begin to get your thinking around to cut things out of your life and not just take on everything. And the lead story that they have to kind of get you sucked into the book is about a person who had just kind of taken everything on, and so was just really frustrated and unfulfilled in their lives, and so they decided to. They thought that they may want to go out and do some consulting just because they were just so frustrated. So what they ended up doing was beginning to work as a consultant in the job, and so they only did the 15% of the things that they were good at and that they enjoyed, and what they found was interesting on the back end is that people began to have a different perception of them, even though that he was saying no to project proposals and different things that were going on inside. So it worked kind of opposite of what he thought that it might, and then just kind of leads you through some different things. So I just finished up last night the chapter on if it's not a heck yes, let's do it, then it's probably a no, not that we take that 50-60%. So
sorry.
You forgot to turn the on-air
no. I had to say no.
There you go. So, but it's really, really fascinating, and just how we can set our priorities. Why sleep is important. Just to keep balance and not just to keep adding in, because time is not an infinite resource.
It's really tough. It's been I've been trying to balance making sure I'm exercising consistently and getting that 7.5 hours of sleep this year, and it is hard work to do. I've been tracking my Fitbit, and it's it's fascinating when you actually have data on how much you sleep, and over long, I'm at 9 months now, so you really it makes you aware of how either little you're sleeping or how much you're burning both ends of the candle. And the research on the brain.
I've got my basis.
Nice, there you go.
Similar concept.
I'm trying to decide if I can say no to the Apple Watch. But I think that the research, the brain research on sleep and how it actually. Have you seen that TED Talk? There's this fantastic TED Talk on how when we sleep, actually the waste and the bad parts that accumulate in our brain during the day are taken away. And if you don't sleep enough, that's why people are more prone to brain disease or Alzheimer's or other kind of dementias. And people who don't sleep enough are more prone to those than people who do because of this system. It was fascinating TED Talk.
Well, they do point to some research that it's actually worse than being impaired, not getting enough sleep. That chemically your brain does not have the chance to refresh and renew.
Yeah.
As well as where novel and interesting solutions might come to things that you're working on. It's typically after you've been away or that you're doing unconscious mundane things, such as walking the dog or doing some exercise or taking that 30-minute nap or whatever.
I like the 30-minute nap idea. I have not been able to do that.
Yeah, that's a pipe dream.
So have you been able to, in thinking about your transition this year, are there things that you've learned, or have you practiced any saying no to any of those, anything?
Well, it's what I've actually been more purposefully doing is because I'm coming in new, I've been actually, I've not said no, but I haven't said yes, if that makes any sense at all.
I'm not sure. Let me think about that.
No, so there are things that I know that I could, would like to potentially get involved in, but at this particular point in time, no. I'm going to be very careful,
right?
With my time, with the way that the day works. I'm typically here by 7 or 7:15 just to kind of beat the morning traffic. I also know that there's a window of time that if I leave here by 4:15 that I can get home in a reasonable amount of time, as opposed to a major traffic time. So I've been really conscious that when there aren't afternoon meetings, to try to meet that, 5 after 4 to leave. But then when I get home, it's, even though it's just my wife, myself, and the dog, you got to give the dog some time, and then I'll get connected back in for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But by 7:38, it's away. I mean, and I don't check it back until the morning.
Yeah, that's just healthy.
And that's okay.
I think one of the things I did early on was just explicitly say to the teachers here that I take a 24 to 30 hour like email hiatus on every weekend, just from a mental health perspective.
Right.
And so I think that's one thing that is an important kind of to set. And then I really work to batch emails and respond less, like not as soon as it comes in. Not that I'm ignoring it, but I take blocks of time during
you schedule your mail, and so therefore, and it's very similar. I mean, going back in through the old archives, it was Will Schwabe, who I, have still referenced people to. He even in through his book Send that we had a conversation about, which that email is the biggest stressor in the business or school function.
Yeah, those quick responses. So I think that there are little things, and then I know that a lot of times to get something done for me, like if I schedule a meeting,
right,
and I have a goal of a product to do at that point, I'll put that in order, and that helps me organize myself in order to kind of get things done, and provide deadlines. So that's really, I think that those are the little things. But saying no, that's, one of the things, one of the jobs I have this year is try to figure out how to kind of, my job description when I started was very long, so it's trying to figure out what I do best, and then how to split it up and make sure that it's a reasonable job description. I can be successful, and then I can support all the teachers and students and parents here, which is complicated. So that's one of the things I'm spending a lot of time on right now.
And so as I walk around, I mean, I note that there are a number of different projects that we could be undertaking, and conversations in my monthly meeting with the head of school, it's like, I'm going to defer this. I mean, we really need to take a look at this, but based upon everything that we're doing, this is not the time. This is a much bigger process and problem, and I'm not taking this on at this point.
Right.
I acknowledge that it needs to be looked at and it needs to be resolved, but in terms of the priority, these are the things that I think are higher priority. And so far, I've gotten the nod and the okay. Of course, he has the opportunity to trump a project.
Yes.
Move it on up, but that's okay. And
that's good. Yeah.
That's his prerogative as my supervisor. But it's just, we want to keep. And it was interesting because when I came in, that was balance and just that whole sense of balance and being able to be productive and not burning out. That was all part of our opening administrative retreat. That was a major theme. And so what's been really refreshing is that not only was it a theme, and oftentimes, we talk about new initiatives and new ideas, but then when the rubber hits the road and the school year starts, that's forgotten, by the third day of school. But no, that's not the case here. That we're being very mindful, and we're really taking a look at doing less. We're taking a look at the calendar, and trying to determine do all the events make sense. Now, partially because we're looking at some construction next year.
Yeah.
And so it's giving us a permission to just kind of maybe stop and say, why are we doing this, and what's the purpose, and can we scale it back?
Right. Yeah, and those are really important pieces of, I think, just being reasonable and healthy.
Right, because you can get bloat so quick.
Yeah.
Without meaning to.
Yes. Yeah. Very quickly.
For sure. For sure.
Well, I have to speaking of setting limits and calling it a day, I have to get back and get out into some classrooms. So
well, you do that.
Thanks for the conversation, Vinny. And
absolutely. And so what we'll have to do is we're going to have to loop back to Arvind, because we'll be good. I was going to say 2 weeks from today is Thanksgiving, but no, it's the week before Thanksgiving.
Sweet, that's good. So so we'll be on the week of the 17th, so that'd be the 20th, right? We'll be back on the 20th.
Be on the 20th, yeah.
And we're looking forward to seeing you all out there. So thanks again for listening to 21st Century Learning, exploring the intersection of education and technology for November 6th, 2014. If you have questions or comments, please send us a message on Twitter or Facebook, and we'll see you all in a couple weeks.
All right.